Shout out to all my pairs.
Did you see today that Tai Tuivasa would do a shoey out of Derek Lewis's Jock Cup? I've done 2 shoeys with both of Tai Tuivasa's last first round knockouts. But here's the thing. There is a universal rule. The #1 rule of the Plays and Fades channel is you never fade Derek Lewis. You never bet against Derek Lewis. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I'm your co-host Gordo Gamble, joined by this beauty of a man here, Keyroad. And we're back for another UFC video on the channel, picking out our favorite DFS plays for the day. But before we do that, how are we doing, my man? How are we doing on this beautiful, what day is it of the week? I don't know.
We're doing pretty well. I mean, this is an exciting card. Great main event. And we got the legendary co-main event. 2 of our favorite fighters, Derek Lewis and Tai Tuivasa. I mean, my balls is hot on one side, Chewy's on the other. Who are we gonna play? Find out later in the video. But yeah, a very exciting card, a very exciting weekend of UFC, not to mention the fact that it's Super Bowl weekend as well. Pretend like there's not a Bills jersey behind us, but yeah, we're excited.
But before we get into our picks, the one thing you guys probably care about the most here, unfortunately, which is kind of sad, come on, show us some love, is I'm gonna do another giveaway. $50 giveaway to first, same way we always do. It's 50 this time because I won it last time. Maybe if I win it again this time, it'll be 100 next time. Who knows? All you gotta do to enter is make sure to comment your DraftKings username down below. I'll send you out an invite. It'll be a lot of fun. Same thing as always. Enter the free contest with a lineup. If you win, I will PayPal you that $50. All right, without further ado, let's get into this UFC 271 card. And I think there's no better way to start this one off than with the main event. Israel Adesanya, Bobby Knuckles. This is one where if you want a full breakdown, there will be one on our channel posted already. But in terms of a pick for DraftKings, how are we playing this one?
Yeah, I mean, this is an exciting main event. Rematches are always a good time. It means that A, the first fight was good enough to have a rematch, and B, these are probably 2 elite fighters, which is definitely true in the case of Adesanya and Whitaker. Now, in terms of price tags, we have Adesanya as the big favorite here at $9,200 and Whitaker down there at $7,000. Now, if these 2 fighters were both in the middle of the price range, if this was a 50-50 fight basically in terms of the odds, I think the side we would take would probably be Adesanya. I mean, he's a favorite for a reason. He's probably a better fighter. He has very high upside, given his knockout ability. His striking is elite. Everybody knows that. But Whitaker is sitting down there at $7,000, and we think that this gap in salary is a little bit too big. And we know that Whitaker might not be the same striker that Adesanya is, but he has that grappling in his back pocket, and we saw in the fight against Jan Blachowicz. Obviously, that was a little bit different given the different weight division, but we saw that Adesanya can be beat if people just choose to use that grappling. So if Whitaker does that, he has a lot of upside here. We definitely think that he could win this fight, and $7,000 we think is a bit too low for him, which means that we're going to be playing a lot more Whitaker this week in DFS than we are going to be Adesanya. At $9,200, Adesanya obviously has upside, but later on we're going to talk about some other fighters up there that we like a little bit more and we think are a little bit more of a guarantee for a win there than Adesanya is up there at $9,200. So maybe a little bit of Adesanya, more cash lineups, maybe a bit of GPP given his high upside, but we really like Whitaker this week at $7,000. We definitely think he has a lot of upside. If you want to know more about our main event, check out our full breakdown video that we did. Should be up on the channel already. So if you want to hear us talk about the main event in depth from the betting side and the DFS side, check out the full breakdown on the channel.
All right, but let's move right along. You mentioned those other high price tags. We like people at the same price range as Israel Adesanya. The first one we're talking about this week is going to be Jeremiah Wells. Now, he is the first fight of the slate, and the first thing you're going to notice when you look at this guy is he's fighting a guy called Blood Diamond. That's his name, all right? Sick name. Unfortunately, he does not have the same 6 skills to match the name. This is one where you have someone in Blood Diamond who is a friend of Israel Adesanya, where he has a very credentialed striker, has had no experience in MMA, and has shown a really, really awful ground game. Jeremiah Wells is someone who comes out shot out of a cannon. Absolute beast, super aggressive, a very explosive power, and he trains at Benzo Gracie Philly, someone where he also have a really, really good ground game. So if he chooses to wrestle here, chooses to grapple, he could look minus 1,000 and go out there and put up, 130 points easily against someone in Blood Diamond, or Mike Mateta, actually, that's his real name. Someone who is not very good on the ground, no experience at all, But if he decides to strike, I still think he has him there. He's more explosive, he's able to close distance well, and you never know what can happen here. So unfortunately, I do think it's going to be a rough debut for Blood Diamond, and for that reason, I'm taking some Jeremiah Wells at $9,100.
Moving on to another fighter that we like up there at that high end of the price range is Ronnie Lawrence. I mean, the last time out, this guy put up almost 135 points on DraftKings, and he's facing another opponent here who he is widely favored over. I mean, he's averaging 10 takedowns in his first 2 UFC fights. This being his third, we expect that trend to continue. He definitely has the ability to put up a huge score here against a way weaker opponent. And he's another guy there, $9,300, but that we really like and we think has big upside shown pretty clearly in his last fight.
Yep, huge takedown upside. He's relentless, and that's someone I really want to back. Not only is he relentless, he's got the cardio to match, good fight IQ, and I really think he takes it here, so scores a really, really good score. Want to look at someone, let's call him our GPP play of the day. Someone sitting here at 8.2K. We have Mr. AJ Dobson. And like Blood Diamond was a friend of Israel Adesanya, Jacob Malkoun is a friend of Robbie Whittaker. This is one where Jacob Malkoun has fought twice in the UFC. First time out, got knocked out in 10 seconds? Absolutely plastered, dead. Second time out, goes out there against Abdul Razak Al Hassan, puts on a pretty good wrestling clinic, wrestles him to a decision. AJ Dobson is 6-0 with 6 finishes. He's an explosive guy and someone that can put Malkoun in that back foot and finish him the same way Phil Hawes has. I'm not the biggest fan of Malkoun's game. I think the only reason he's in the UFC is because of Whittaker, and props to Whittaker for getting his friend in here, but I think this is up to AJ Dobson to starch him. We know he has power. We know he's a decent ground game. I think he goes out there and finishes Malkoun early.
Moving on to another good friend of a fighter, we have another one of Israel Adesanya's boys, Carlos Ulberg. This weekend, he is going up against the infamous Water Buffalo. And $8,900 here, but he is one of these big favorites that we like a lot. The one concern might be, lack of testing in the UFC, but in this matchup, we really like him here. He is a very good technical kickboxer, has a lot of power, and he's going up against a guy in the Water Buffalo who we know can gas out and doesn't have a great chin. Ulberg, last time out, put up 146 strikes, ended up losing the fight because he gassed out halfway through the fight and ended up being beat in the later rounds. Against the Water Buffalo, that is just not going to happen. We definitely think that Ulberg has the ability to get this early KO and put up a huge score here on DraftKings.
Yeah, whereas he's kind of untested in the UFC, we've shown that he's got volume, power, output. He's just a really, really good kickboxer in his own right. He went out there against Kennedy Nzechukwu. The guy was really, really tough. The guy pretty much just rope-a-doped him, wait until he gassed out. Sharan's been knocked out. He's got not the best skill set. You know what? He's not the best fighter in general. This is one where it looks like they're trying to make Ulberg look better. He's a good-looking guy. He's got power. He's someone the UFC really wants to promote. And I think it's a really winnable fight here against Fabio Cherant. All right, 15 fight cards. We got to sit through it, find our good GPP plays, and one of them I'm really liking this week is Renato Moicano. Now, this is a fight I really, really want a big part of. I want ownership on both sides. I'll talk about Hernandez in a second, but Moicano's a guy, black belt on the ground, very, very skilled guy. He's fought the cream of the crop, Fiziev, Korean Zombie, Aldo, Cater, Ortega, Stevens. The list goes on. He's been around. He's fought the best of the best. I think he has really good striking here that's going overlooked because he was just knocked out by someone in Fiziev, but we know how good Fiziev is, right? So this is one where he's got the ground game, he's got the striking, he's got the movement. It's can he implement it against this young guy in Alex Hernandez? We know who he is. He came into the UFC, starched Benil Dariush and really put his name on the map. But now he's here, I think he's going a bit overvalued. He doesn't have the same ground game. He doesn't have the same technical ability that Moicano here possesses. However, I do understand his power. I understand Moicano has been folded. This is one where I'm going to be taking a lot of Moicano because I do think he finishes here, but I would not be surprised if Hernandez landed that bomb. Both these guys, good GPP options. All right, speaking of GPP, let's talk about it. The big one, no pun intended. You have the co-main event, you have Derek Lewis, you have Tai Tuivasa, and I'm going to pass this one over to Kiro because the #1 rule on the channel is you do not bet against Derek Lewis. But are we kind of doing that here?
Honestly, we still like Derek Lewis to win this fight. Most likely, he's a favorite here on DraftKings, $8,800 this week compared to Tai Tuivasa down there at $7,400. That's a pretty wide gap. In this fight, we definitely think Tai Tuivasa, although he is the underdog, has the path to victory here. We know that Derek Lewis likes hitting people. He doesn't like getting hit. And if there's one thing Tai Tuivasa is quite good at, it's, keeping a bit more range, going for those big leg kicks that he likes. And if Derek Lewis isn't as mobile as Tai Tuivasa in this fight, which we don't necessarily expect him to be, Tuivasa, if he plays it smart, definitely has this path to victory by taking out Derek Lewis's legs, kind of wearing him down and hoping to beat him that way. But on the other hand, we do know that Derek Lewis can knock out any human being on the planet, especially in this heavyweight division in the UFC. We've seen him do it countless times as a big underdog even. So as the favorite in this fight, definitely has the ability to get that early KO, put up a huge score here on DraftKings. But Tai Tuivasa also has that path to victory, so just a little sprinkle of Tuivasa in there in some of your lineups if you can get him in there. $7,400 is a nice salary to have to fit some of those big favorites on this card into some of your lineups.
This is one where I want to have a lot of ownership on it, really. You have either Derek Lewis, who is the king of knockouts, the most knockouts all time. He can end a fight at any second here, and while Tai Tuivasa may have the slight path to victory here, can't bet against the Black Beast. So I'm having a lot of ownership on Lewis just because Fisco boom, but at the same time, I would not be opposed to anyone take a shot on Tuivasa here. It's a tough week for dogs. I mean, I mentioned Whitaker. I like him down low. I mentioned, I want a shot on Hernandez as well, and Tai Tuivasa fits in that same range as someone I might want to take a shot on, just not as much as any of the other ones. All right, but let's just wrap it up right here. You have the third biggest fight of the night, Cannonier, Brunson. Blonde Brunson been on a run, but Cannonier I think is too strong for his liking. Brunson's been rocked a lot. Cannonier's got good takedown defense. I think it's a bad recipe of disaster for Brunson. I like Cannonier here. I think he finishes. I think he scores pretty well. Up top, Casey O'Neill. I love her. I'm the biggest Casey O'Neill truther, but at 9.5K, there's better options here. Modafferi is a vet. She's cashed as an underdog many, many times. I think Casey O'Neill rolls here, but if you're going to spend that much, get someone like Lawrence, get someone like Wells, someone like Kyler Phillips as well. If he wrestles here, if he grapples, should have a very, very good path to victory as well. One last fight we're going to talk about, Grishin, William Knight. I think William Knight survives, but his striking defense, very, very questionable. Taking it on short notice. It's a tough one. The good thing about this is William Knight is a tough guy. He can take those shots, pretty durable. Maybe he could get some control time in the cage. Who knows? Maybe he's evolving. I think Grisham wins here, but with the lineups I've been saying and the stuff I've been hinting at, I will have a little bit of Knight here this week. And the last one I want to talk about, Jared Vandera fighting a 43-year-old man. Orlovsky's the better fighter. Vandera sucks, but there's always that path to victory when you're so much younger and you're fighting a guy. Is one thing you can say about Vandera, he's got good ground and pound, so if Orlovsky slips, it would maybe be the end of the world for him. So that's going to do it for us here. One last time, let us know how they can win a free $50.
Yeah, make sure to enter the contest. All you got to do is put your DraftKings username in the comment section. We'll add you to the contest. And yeah, you got a chance at $50. Fun contest. See if you can beat Gordo this time because none of you guys did last time. So make sure to enter that this week. But yeah, we are excited for UFC 271 and let's make some money. Ding.